And joining me here today, I have Justin Tan, who is an Asia Pacific account executive for Floship. Hello, Justin.
Hi. Hi,
Hi,
how
how
are
are
you,
you,
James?
James?
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
the
the
introduction.
introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome. And Justin, would you mind to share a little bit about yourself and your role here at Floship?
So here at Floship, I mainly interact with clients, with brands, with e-commerce businesses to understand their pain points and how we can add value to their supply chain, also helping them with their operations as well. So, and then I kind of make a, how should I put it, a bespoke kind of solution for their needs, because every client, every brand is different. So there's no one solution fits all. So creating a bespoke solution using Flowship's platform and operations to marry the tech and ops together, creating like a circular ecosystem that benefits brands greatly.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing there, Justin. And also joining Justin and myself, we have Rebecca Hahn, the partner manager at Trustpilot. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, James.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Could you just share with myself, Justin, and our audience here a little bit about your role as a partner manager and what you do at Trustpilot?
Sure. In short, I I work as a partner manager Asia in Trustpilot to work with partners from different perspectives together to help businesses build trust online. So just a little bit background information about what is Trustpilot in case some people are new to us. So Trustpilot is an online open review platform that has collected over 210 million reviews from consumers around the world.
That's quite a significant number there, 210 million. And I'm sure that number goes up every single day, right?
Every second.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, Rebecca, and welcome. And also joining Rebecca, Justin, our other panelist, we have Stuart Xiao, who is the Associate Digital Manager for Wave Commerce. Hi, Stuart.
James, so great. So glad to be here today.
Nice to have you here as well, Stuart. So would you mind to share a little bit about yourself and what you do as an Associate Digital Manager?
Sure. So my role looks more after the product side of the business. So we have a few kind of flagship apps that we are releasing on Shopify app stores, where we allow merchants to enable different features on their Shopify stores. And the one that I'm working on is a loyalty solution called Omni. So I'll kind of go through a bit of that in the future later. But for those who are not maybe familiar with e-commerce, we're actually a long-time Shopify partner based in Hong Kong with 10 plus years of experience on Shopify. We have more than 22,000 merchants on Shopify using our apps, actually. We function as a full service Shopify Group partner and also app developer. So we work with leading brands and enterprises in the APAC region to help them plan, accelerate their direct to consumer and omnichannel strategies, either through one of our consulting services or our software as a service products.
That's great, Stuart. And I love how you dropped a little bit of allusion to what you're going to be talking about later on. And, speaking of Shopify, our final panelist joining us here is from Shopify, and that is Virginia Fung, who is the Senior Technical Partner Manager. Hi, Virginia.
Hi, James. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, good, good.
Good. Would you mind to share with everybody a little bit about yourself and about your role as well?
Absolutely. So I'm Virginia. So I've been with Shopify for 2 years. So my role is basically in technical partnership. So it means that I actually work with different partners to complete the whole e-commerce experience for our merchants. So I think Floship is a perfect example of the partner that I work with. You guys probably have an app on Shopify. So for merchant, it's very easy to use. But at the same time, behind the scene, you guys provide the powerful services. So merchant don't have to worry about the shipping and stuff. They just work with you guys, and that will be a complete service.
Fantastic. And yes, you're right, we do have the Shopify integration here at Floship. But I think what you just mentioned there, Virginia, about the experience is why we're all here today. And I think everybody watching, they kind of want to know a little bit more about adding some value to their customer experience. Because if we look back at what's happened with e-commerce over the last few years, I think we can all agree that it's been a pretty wild ride. We've had a lot of highs, and there was a lot of, I would say, condensed adoption and digitalization from merchants and both from consumers in using e-commerce. And obviously, since the pandemic has subsided, the companies are now having to once again shift their strategies and once again adapt to these changing consumer preferences. So what I think we're going to do now is just dive right into it and talk about some of the trends that brands need to be aware of and to keep on top of to improve their overall customer experience on their online store. So Justin, I'm going to come to you first. So when it comes to growing an e-commerce business in 2023, what are the priority areas that brands should be focusing on?
Well, it's quite interesting to note because as we go into the age of e-commerce and spending more, people are more willing to buy online rather than go into stores. I think that brands have to adopt a wider range of products or product categories to cater for different needs that their customers want. So like diversifying their brand with different products. They can be of the same brand, but different catered for different needs and people who are joining I wouldn't say joining the e-commerce movement, but are more inclined to shop online than to go into brick and mortar stores as well. And then with that being said, because the e-commerce space is rather saturated, everyone has a product, everyone has a brand in the market. So discounts and special deals on like Black Friday or like Singles Day is a great example to drive that customer traffic as well, I should say. And then also I think a last point marrying those 2 points together is that they should match their products together with their customer base. So with their customers understanding what they want, what kind of things that's easy to have on the e-commerce website where they don't exactly have to try it. So exactly what they want and retaining them after the purchase. So that's, I think, how we can go about retaining a customer and growing your customer base from there.
Okay, so we're talking about customer loyalty. So Stuart, I think I'm going to come to you next on this. What is it, in your experience, that makes customers loyal these days?
Right. So I think coming on Justin's point, definitely working with brands over these years, we see loyalty is one big aspect, but we also see kind of three main priority areas that kind of emerge. So first one is definitely retaining old customers and building loyalty. With recent privacy policy changes causing acquisition costs for these paid channels to really skyrocket, brands are looking elsewhere to maintain that growth, because it's not as effective to look for maybe new customers from these channels now. Apologies for the kind of the ringing if you can hear that. But anyways, so because of that, kind of retaining customers became a much more key in that strategy. And as we see, returning customers are actually 5 times cheaper to retain than acquiring a new customer, right? So, but at the same time, you also need to spend. They also spend a lot more money with you. So it's quite evident that if you can retain a customer, that's going to have much positive impacts with the business in the long run. So naturally, this is one focus. Another focus that kind of helps drive this loyalty is how do you build that synergy between your online and offline channels? So, customers are not just in one place and they expect buying to be really omnichannel. We see more than half of the customers will be checking a product online and buying offline or vice versa. And 70% of the customer actually use multiple channels before making that final purchase decision. So being able to offer that unified shopping experience, whether it's online and offline, will really help drive growth in terms of not just your business, but making your customers more loyal. And I guess one final point that's really important, but often overlooked, is how you choose your tech stack, right? So in order to offer really a seamless omnichannel experience, you really need to have a lot of information that you come from different solutions. They need to be interconnected. So picking a tech stack that can communicate and share data with one another is really a priority in creating the experience. So whether it's maybe a customer's loyalty information or maybe the product review history or even say the shipping statuses of the orders that they just bought. Like all these information should be able to be connected into one platform or connected platforms that allow the brands to provide these personalized engagements, whichever their channel their customers are. So I would say like, going from the omni-channel and reaching them in every touch point possible, like those are the big ways that we see our, clients or like the trends that we see in terms of driving customer loyalty.
Okay, fantastic. And I kind of wanted to circle back a little bit to something you just mentioned. And Virginia, maybe you can add here. Stuart mentioned about, customers abandoning their cart rate. What kind of data do you have from your Shopify report that kind of add a little bit of color here?
Absolutely. So I totally feel that like customer loyalty is a theme going on here. So maybe let me quickly provide some Shopify data. So every year, Shopify actually publish a commerce trend report. So I'll just quickly take a few numbers. So basically, this is the first year that we realize that people are not concerning COVID as number one thing. So a lot of the customer and the businesses, they said, oh, we are concerned with the inflation and the interest rate. So overall, we see that the GMV number, the sales are still healthy, but it's just that individual cart size becomes slightly smaller. So here comes the challenge for merchant. So right now, business is still okay, still stable, but at the same time, how can we drive a larger cart size or higher value from each loyal customer? So here the loyalty theme comes out, because another interesting figure that I want to share is that we know that acquiring new customer is quite costly now. So our research show that each new customer costs US dollar $29 to acquire. So of course you still need to acquire new customers, but at the same time, it means that it actually drives more value if you really pay attention to your loyal customers. So this is the figure that I would love to share with you guys.
Awesome. So we need to make everything a little bit more tailored and a little bit more unique for these customers. Now,
absolutely.
And I think that kind of ties nicely into our next question that I'm going to come to you, Rebecca, on, and that is, what in this like increasingly competitive marketplace, how can e-commerce merchants, how can they differentiate, distinguish themselves and their customer experience to kind of retain these customers, attract new ones, and even expand their customer base?
Sure. I have so many things to share. So let's start imagining a customer's typical journey. So if you're a customer, after heard or seeing a brand, what would you do? So we see customers research that brand and looking towards their peers for trusted signals before they make a purchase decision. And this is especially true if they plan to buy expensive product or commit to certain level of services. So quick questions for business you think. So do you have got a searchable online trusted profile, or have you adopted a right channel to collect and manage the voice of your customers? If you aren't harnessing them, you are actually missing out. And this is just the start. Then you can start to showcase your trust signals across all your key communication points. So for example, on your website, sections such as header, footer, product pages, checkout page, and outside your website, you can use with your social media posts, advertisements, email marketing campaigns, or even the billboard. So any place that your customers are looking for information. And it's there is one the other thing is, in terms of retaining customer, I think brand could consider utilizing those data to build a customer-centric business model. By doing so, they can help identify risks and opportunities and support the internal decision making. We have seen many customers, they analyze the data and they realize, oh, they actually need to change one of their product supplier because majority negative reviews they're receiving are coming from that part. And also, last one, I've prepared a very interesting story to share with us, which is consumers looking for a sense of community that help drive loyalty that which you guys have mentioned in the last topic. So they want their voices to be heard and to say that brands are actually taking actions and working in a customer's shoes. So to share a short but great case, one of our customers in Australia, it's a pet nutrition brand. They received a negative reviews indicating the design of the spoon is not user-friendly at all. So they replied this review on the same day. And just 5 weeks later, they released a new version of their product with a better design spoon. And they also posted on social media to admit their mistake and then announce the new product. So imagine if you are a customer or potential customer of this brand, what would you think? I personally think this is great because this brand has showed a positive attitude towards customer feedback
Yeah,
and also
absolutely.
proved,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It shows that they're like listening to, those views, and they're gaining that kind of validity and that level of credibility that you're assuring them by having that kind of review program on there. Now, I want to touch back and dive it over to Justin. Apologies, Rebecca, because you mentioned data. Now, Justin, what kind of data can we use to create these kind of hyper personalized experiences throughout e-commerce?
Just realized that. So yeah, so just like how us at Floship, we customize and make a personal bespoke solution for brands. These can be used to help brands build a better customer relationship by getting ahead of their needs, collecting feedback, or putting out like a prototype to see how people feel about things. Like Rebecca said, feedback is really, really important because it gives you the data and information you need to personalize things that people actually want in the market. Because if it's something that someone doesn't want, there's no point in putting it out in the market because people are not going to buy it. You're going to suffer losses here and there. So collecting the data and understanding the browsing history or what they really want when they go online into your store is a great way to use data to create a customer loyalty.
Fantastic, thanks. And Stuart, when I know Justin talks about these kind of unique experiences, what kind of things are you seeing? And Virginia, maybe you can add to this as well. What kind of personalized shopping experiences are people requesting for their online store, or what are you seeing merchants create on your platforms? Stuart, I'll come to you first.
Sure. So I think like according to the shopping experience, I think one thing that we found that's very important for a lot of the leading brands in the APAC region is, again, how they bridge their online and offline shopping journey. So we talked about, in the past, maybe loyalty data was restricted to online store. You will know that maybe you earned some points online. Maybe you bought this, you have this reward. But once you go to an offline retail store, if you're not using a system that's connected, you lose all that insight, right? So, but customers today are expecting much more than that. So they're expecting that experience to be omnichannel. Wherever you shop, whether it's online or in store, you should be able to use the same points or redeem the rewards that you have your points with, right? So that's why it's very important to have one unified profile that is shared across online and offline. And with that, like when you go to an offline store, when the staff can see your shopping history online or see that, hey, you have a $100 coupon that you didn't use, or you're just $50 away from upgrading to the next loyalty tier, you can give that meaningful information to the shopper, and they can have some really actionable things that can do on the spot, and that really helps brands build that seamless shopping experience, whether it's online and offline. So I would say like that's something that's very important. But another thing that we also found very interesting is on, not just on the shopping itself, but how do you first even approach that customer? We talked about how, acquisition costs are increasing, as Virginia mentioned from the Shopify commerce trends reports. There's some very interesting creative ways that we see, merchants or brands approach this. So one of that we've seen a lot of success in Hong Kong is actually pop-up stores. So a lot of brands would set up these pop-up locations in these high traffic locations with the goal of capturing a registration to their online store, or just like a profile registration, so they can have something to build on and build data on, right? But to enable that, what you really need is a fast and intuitive mobile first registration process. So something that I can just walk by, give my phone number, and I'm done. It has to be as simple as that.
Right. So it's like simplicity is key, as is flexibility, as is agility to kind of respond to these situations. But I think all of these things that you're saying, this personalized shopping experiences for myself as a consumer is definitely something that I look for when I'm looking for an online store, and even in-person shopping as well. But Virginia, is there anything that you're kind of seeing on Shopify as well, in terms of what your merchants are kind of creating for their stores?
I have to be honest, I totally agree with what Stuart just said. So basically, using data, I think especially want to highlight that actually when you talk about like good online shopping experience, it actually has two parts. So at least you have the pre part, which is let's use a party as an energy. So how to have a good party? First of all, you have good people coming in, right? And then the second part is to have good activity within the party. So similar to what Stuart said, is that we use data to make sure that we're getting the right crowd and also giving them the right creative so that people come to the shop with like expectation, and you know that they are the right people coming to your shop. Secondly, once they're here, you actually can use data to think what kind of activity, in this case, what kind of product that they're very likely to like and purchase. So yeah, I'll just put it this way, like use data to give everyone a good party.
Data. I think that's like the key to, good business decisions these days. You can't do anything without having the right data and the right level of visibility and the assurability as well, linking back to what Rebecca mentioned earlier. And I think, if ecom and merchants are able to do this and create these personalized experiences, it kind of gives them plenty of opportunities to expand into new markets. And I think now that trade is resuming and things, brands might be looking to adapt to new territories or sell their products overseas, but it's not generally necessarily a straightforward process as one might believe. Is there anything that they should be kind of concerned about when they're looking to enter a new market, or creating a market specific personalized experience? Is that something that brands should be conscious about? Does their experience apply, the same experience, is it wanted by every customer in every country, or does each country want its own specific tailor-made experience? I think we'll come to Rebecca for this one.
Sure. We think markets vary from each other in many aspects, of course, such as like consumer behavior and how they interact with businesses, and also the channels in which these conversations are occurring. So, suggestion is try to avoid too many assumptions and do more research. But we all know that restricted by the cost of financial purpose, that it's not always feasible to visit or set up a local team in that market. So I think businesses could consider developing and maintain a partnership network in that market. The mutual benefits between you and your partners in, for example, tech, marketing, social media, and distribution channels could all help you to get some local data to help you develop and avoid some misunderstanding. And also related to a little bit thing like trust or reviews we just mentioned, say, no matter which market you operate, that will still matter. So when you're entering a new market, don't forget about the established market you already got. So you can utilize the genuine feedback from your mature market to influence the consumers in your new market. Or if it's for retailers who expand to online, then you can utilize your physical stores, shoppers' feedback to influence your online visitors and integrate that into your omnichannel strategy to have an overall performance improvement.
Great. So it's kind of like creating a continuous feedback loop process almost to optimize and to improve. Now, Virginia, how about you? What kind of advice do you give to your merchants if they're looking to expand overseas?
Absolutely. So I'll switch gear a little bit. So I'll probably focus more the operation and the product side of it. So in the past, going to a new market is super terrifying. So we're talking about like having maybe get someone to do the research on the ground, see what is the right place to have your shop, and then what kind of product would be fit for that market. So therefore, Shopify, we want to provide an easy tool for anyone to try new market as easy as possible. So on Shopify, you can actually switch on something called Shopify Markets. So this is the minimum cost way to try out a new market. So basically, you maintain the same store, but change to another currency and another language. So I know that cross-border is definitely a rising trend, and also sometimes it could be very difficult to try out a new market. But I just strongly suggest that anyone to try Shopify Market, just to try a few markets and then see which one responds better to your current product and your current pricing, and then go deep into that market.
Absolutely. And I think, if you're looking into cross-border or multiple markets, you need to have the right fulfillment provider to be able to do that for you as well, because it's not, there's so many different regulations and taxations and import requirements for each specific country. So Justine, what kind of other pieces of advice do you give your brands when they come to you and say, hey, look, I want to expand into these new markets? Is there anything else that they should be aware of?
Yeah, thanks, James. So in terms of looking at a new market or trying out a different market, they have to understand that of the taxes and duties associated with the region and the different do's and don'ts of importing and exporting into different regions or markets. Because what might work in a certain region for you, like for example, in the US, because of Amazon Prime, they expect same day delivery, whereas for different places, different region, or let's say Asia, they're used to 2 or 3 days. So let's just say you are a brand in Asia looking to expand to the US. You have to bear in mind all these different trends and buying trends that are going to happen in the US, because like the geography plays a big part as well, because getting your product in bulk to the US is also maybe quite a challenge, and also whether you have partners in place to fulfill all these orders is also a different thing, and different couriers can only handle certain types of products as well. So understanding the local markets and how it works is really what Flowship could do over here, because we do have multiple courier partners. We have multiple warehousing locations around the world, especially in major markets. So that's why we have this tailor-made solution for each of the brands who are expanding, whether be it expanding or just improving their supply chain operations. We are here to support all of these things.
Fantastic. Okay, so it's all about creating a support network and an integrated ecosystem, and I think that's something that we've all touched upon here, is the importance of data sharing and creating a unified kind of network between the various components and working parts of an e-commerce store. But one of those main things that the main experience at the end of the day is about the customer experience. So is there anything aside from hyper personalization or anything that we can kind of add to create a more personalized experience for e-commerce customers? Is there, Stuart, is there anything that you guys are seeing or anything that you would advise for brands to do?
Right. So I think there's definitely a lot of different things that a brand can do. And I think here at WooCommerce, we really focus on that omnichannel experience. So, the products that we worked on are kind of work towards solving that problem. So we kind of talk about how we can acquire customers, right? Like pop-up stores is a creative way. Another creative way might be using these online to offline sampling campaigns where you can redeem, or you can register for a sample, get a QR code, and redeem that offline. So these help you to reach out to these customers really creatively. But when you come to offering like a true omnichannel experience, we talked about having the same VIP experience, whether they're online and offline, being able to use points anywhere, allowing the offline staff to see their history so they can make, educated sort of recommendations. But I think it's also about aligning the staff, the frontline staff that you have maybe in your retail stores, right? Retail staff oftentimes are only incentivized to push for sales offline because that's sort of what their KPI is tied to. So what if you put a tool that can kind of attribute online sales into your retail staff? Then that way you can kind of create that company-wide strategy where you're not just growing a single channel, but you're growing a whole brand as a whole. So that's another something that we see has really helped brands push for a more personalized shopping experience because the retail staff has the incentives to do that. And I think finally, just having the point that we talked about, all the deep integrations with the different ecosystem partners, the different apps that you use, your tech stack, being able to integrate with all of that just allows you to take very detailed information from what their behaviors are to their demographics to other things that maybe other solution partners have been collecting and really using that as one full database and let you reach them wherever they are. So I think, again, like going back to my first point, so you really want to reach them on all the different touch points, but you also make sure that when you reach them, these interactions are meaningful. And that's sort of where we want to help our clients get through with our products and our services.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, obviously, you talked here a little bit more about getting their feedback and their input into, tailor making this solution. But what about those customers that are silent customers, those happy customers who don't leave reviews or they don't necessarily engage with the brand aside from purchasing online? Rebecca, is there anything that you would advise for merchants to do to be a little bit more, to get in touch with those happy customers or to hear back from them?
Sure. Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned happy customers that generate silence. That's true. And this is one of the main reasons why you search online, you found a brand that you think is good, but you still see a lot of critical information. So the suggestion is to have a proactive review strategy. So with a proactive approach, you can invite all your customers who had the genuine experience or purchase with your brand to leave a review for your brand on a third-party review platform. And you probably notice that I mentioned a third party. So that's actually a very frequent asked questions. Why we don't do on our own, but using a third-party platform? Well, this reflects a typical misunderstanding gap between what consumers are looking for and what business think they should do. So for example, consumers are looking for a full picture of a business, no matter positive or negative, because I guess everyone would agree that no person or no business is 100% perfect. So if utilizing a third-party open review platform, such as Trustpilot, then business can show that they have the confidence to connect with their customers with a transparent way. And also, by doing so, the benefits you will receive is not only showcasing good reviews. So for example, that can help you to streamline your customer service and to improve the efficiency of your resolution, and also help with facilitate a little bit for your search, like with verified service reviews, you can accumulate your Google seller rating, and that could help you to help you with your Google ads, but by meeting the certain criteria set by the Google. And also product reviews can help with your Google shopping campaign by meeting the certain criteria with Google. And that's pretty much.
Okay, great. So not only do those positive reviews help, give some quality feedback, but they also improve things from SEO and a marketing perspective as well. But one thing that makes me a really, really happy customer is the delivery experience. Now, Justin, from a supply chain perspective, what is the key to giving customers the best experience when it comes to order delivery. Because for me, when I'm shopping online, as soon as that order's placed, I want to know where my product is, what stage, and I'm expecting it to be at the door. So what can we do here?
Yeah, thanks, James. So yeah, as you know, everyone that buys something instantly wants it. So they want it in front of you, they want to play with it and hold it straight away. So um that's a great question, because if you look at back then during COVID, or even when the Suez Canal was blocked up, the entire supply chain was a mess. So in terms of looking at the delivery times and what the customer experience can get, I think first off, brands must really set an expectation for what the lead time is going to be for the item. And then the next thing as well is be very active in sending the tracking numbers, so that even though they don't have the physical item yet, or they can at least see which stage is that, so it gives them more information to understand which stage their package is at. But then at the end of the day, it's really up to the brand to decide whether they want to have higher margins or lower margins on the item, because a lot of brands offer free shipping or sometimes expedited shipping if you spend a certain amount. So in order to do that, the customers have to purchase a lot or sometimes spend more than they wish to. So in terms of having customers receive packages, it really depends on, first off, the location, secondly, the type of delivery couriers partners that they use. So as a brand, I would first off set expectations with my customer, and then also my own personal bottom line, whether it makes sense to give an expedited delivery time or even a slower delivery time, just based on the type of product as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. So it's about just getting, again, the right data and getting that feedback and using the information to create a feedback loop and the strategy going forward. Now, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit here for the last question. And for those who are watching, please do get involved, because after this next part of the panel, we will be taking your questions. So if you've got any questions that you're dying to ask, please put them into the live chat. We do have a couple of questions in there already, and I will be coming to those in just a moment. But for the next question, if we're looking ahead to the future, demands are going to continue to change, consumer expectations are going to continue to change, and not only that, the products and services that come out there on the market are also changing. And what I think one of the big things that we're seeing a lot of, and there's a lot of buzz around at the minute, is generative AI. And everybody's talking about it, everybody wants to kind of see how they can apply it to their business. Now, Virginia, are you seeing any kind of way over at Shopify, or are you using generative AI in any way to kind of create an enhanced customer experience for your e-commerce brands?
Definitely. So not only that, we want to use AI to help with increasing sales, but at the same time to reduce costs as well. So I know that the word AI is, to be honest, even to me, is very scary. It's like, oh, so this is a new thing I need to learn. But at least be sure that on Shopify there are third-party app, or as well as Shopify functionality that we actually try to incorporate AI into it, so that as a brand owner, you don't now suddenly have to be an AI expert. You just go to Shopify App Store or go to Shopify to see which function are actually powered by the AI. For example, we have something called Shopify Magic. So basically, it helps you just put down a few keywords, and then it will help you to generate product description and all the writing, which is a headache for many brand owners. So just try out the tool on third-party app store and as well as on Shopify, and let it help you to save time or increase the sales.
I think that's a really smart way to go about it, because trying to write a creative but optimized product description is a major marketing challenge that even like the best of brands face. And by having that AI tool that at their disposal and integrated with Shopify. I think that's, really going to change the game a little bit. But I'm also interested in other areas of e-commerce where AI can be applied. Justin, is there anything or anywhere else along the, let's say, the supply chain or within the supply chain operations that we can apply generative AI or artificial intelligence at all?
Yeah, so I mean, AI has been thrown around for a while, and it's only in recent time where it's really blown up. So I think supply chain is slowly learning to adopt how AI can help benefit us. So how it can enhance the browsing experience for customers. So check out their purchase history and devise like complementary products like this is for you or just for you or these types of things. All these can be generated by AI by understanding and learning the browsing patterns of customers. And then again, robots AI can really automate intensive day-to-day tasks. As I'm pretty sure everyone here has probably watched Terminator at some point. The robots did a lot of the things for us, but it really made our jobs much easier, but not to the point where they completely overtake our job functions. But using AI, we can help it learn what are the menial tasks that we don't really like doing. For example, sorting, and as Virginia mentioned as well, product descriptions and all these uploads. I think AI can really help add value to the supply chain of that, and also bring down the cost as well.
Absolutely, and I think if we're looking at expanding or we're looking to add value, we also need to be cost conscious as a merchant to make sure that we're generating a profit and that we're getting a strong return on all of our operations here. So thank you. I think that that it's going to be really interesting to see how AI kind of plays a role in shaping e-commerce in the future, and I'm quite excited for it. So let's be on the lookout, and maybe we'll get together again in a few months' time to have another one of these webinars where we're talking, more about the AI developments. So let's see how that goes. All right. Okay, so I'm going to move on to a question that has been sat in our live chat, and that is from Christy. And Christy would like to know, how can merchants build trust with their customers if they're a startup and they don't have an existing customer base? That's quite a tough question. So is there Stuart or Virginia or Rebecca or Justin, if you work with crowdfunding brands, where can they start in terms of building that trust level up with their customers?
Yeah, so with crowdfunding brands, they are a startup, so they literally have a product or they have a concept of a product. So I think it's how you sell the concept of someone or sell the concept of that to your audience, and be it through infomercials, videos, all these things can be used to leverage to create that bond, that trust between your customer and yourself. I would say videos or rather infomercials are great because it literally shows you what the product can do or what product can do for you. So just bridging that divide, or rather educating your customer what you do or what your product can do, will help build trust, because they will understand how you work or how your products work, and through understanding them, trust will definitely follow.
Great. So we do it in a number of ways, through like the the advertising or letting people know about the products. Does anybody else have anything to add to the points Justin just mentioned?
Yep. So I know that it's not exactly the same, but I would love to take an example from app developers. So I often get questions from app developers saying that I have a new app with no users. So how can I get people to use it? So kind of similar situation here. So I realized that actually having 10 customer and having 10,000 customers are totally different. Let's say if you have 10,000 customers, then of course you're using Trustpilot, and then at that time you probably just have to monitor or manage any comment, any review, and that will be enough for you because the review actually sell the product for you. But if you only have, let's say, 10 customers or 100 customers, in that case you have to be proactive. So some of the app developers that I work with, I always suggest that be very careful with your first 10 customer or 100 customer. Make sure that at all the touch point after they have a good experience, for example, complete a task, or in this case, happily get the purchase that they have been waiting for. That is the right time to ask people to write the review, because the more review, actually that build the trust. And also always reach people at the right point, not randomly, like suddenly out of nowhere an email say, can you write me a review? No, always do something when they are happy, then get a review. I personally think that this is the best way to start building trust when you don't have a big customer base.
I think that ties in very, very nicely to, the points Rebecca mentioned and that everybody else talked about earlier. It's about that credibility and that assurability and the trust level with between the merchant and their customers as well to create that enhanced experience. Okay, so in the interest of time, I am conscious that we are coming to the end of our time together today. But before we go, I want to come to each of our speakers and kind of summarize the main takeaway that they would like to have our audience, take from here. So I think I'll come to Stuart first. What would be, in let's say 10 seconds, 20 seconds, what would be the key takeaway for e-commerce to add to their customer experience going forward?
Right. So I think, in an increasing competitive world, like market like this, you really need to be creative in terms of how you acquire new customers. But also when you acquire customers, how do you then pamper them to become a loyal customer? And we see the most success through really merging the online and offline shopping channel if you have, and really using relevant data to ensure that they have the right communications at every step that they take. So I think those would be the most key takeaways from us.
Awesome, thank you so much. And Rebecca, same question to you.
I would say to utilize a proactive review strategy to establish a searchable online trust profile as a fundamental thing to build your online trust and connect effectively with your customers. And then, of course, to adopt the right methodology to benefit your overall business from many different perspectives.
Very concise, I love that, thank you. And Virginia, same question.
So when it comes to customer experience, it sounds like a sentimental, emotional thing, but behind the scene is all science. So use your data and also use it well so that you understand who is actually using your brand or not using your brand, and then you respond with the correct answer. And although we cannot tailor-made the product or the communication to every single individual, try to find your crowd, that your core crowd, and then try to speak to them. I think that is the good way to create a good customer experience.
Fantastic. So it's not emotions, it's just science. And just in the final 20 seconds, go.
Yeah, I mean, with e-commerce the way it is, people are always looking for new ways to skin the cat, if that's a phrase. So finding out new options, new career options, and opening up different markets is something that e-commerce brands and businesses really need to try to figure out. But as always, there are people like Stuart, Virginia, Rebecca, and myself here to always help these businesses out.
Awesome, thank you so much. And I think that concludes today's webinar. So thank you to you all for joining us, and thank you to everyone who has been watching us on YouTube today. And I hope that you do have some tangible takeaways and that you can put these into action and create a enhanced customer experience for your e-commerce brand. So I'd just like to thank Justin Tan, Account Executive for Asia Pacific for Floship. Bye, Justin.
Bye.
I'd like to thank Stuart Xiao, Associate Digital Manager for Wave Commerce. Bye, Stuart.
For having us, James.
I'd like to thank Virginia Fung, the Senior Technical Partner Manager for Shopify. Thank you, Virginia.
Good to spend time with you guys.
And finally, I'd like to thank Rebecca Hahn, the Partner Manager at Trustpilot. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.